it is. Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. I got two badasses for you and a real treat as always. We got Glenn Devitt and Matt Murphy. What's cracking, folks?
What's up, brother?
Folks, you guys are going to want to know these guys. You're going to want to follow these guys at Glenn.Devitt, Devitt is where you find them. At Sentinel Foundation is the other one. Or you can go to foundation.sentinel.
FoundationSentinel.org.
FoundationSentinel.org. Folks, these guys are a couple of operators, I like to say. And, you know, I'll tell you, I didn't know what an operator was. I didn't know they were called operators till I started playing Call of Duty, because they're called operators. Like, look out for other operators. Is that what they're called in the military, operators?
Once you get to a certain level in special operations, so he was an operator, I worked intelligence, and now we are operators in the child, counter human trafficking fight.
Yeah. And guys, there's a special episode. Why? Well, because number one, they do things that are near and dear to my heart, which is save children from being trafficked and sexually exploited, etc. So, Glenn, you were a veteran with 11 years enlisted experience in the United States Army with a background in infantry, human intelligence, counterintelligence, open source intelligence, a lot of intelligence.
Yeah.
Usually intelligence and the military don't go together.
Yeah, exactly. Usually doesn't.
Digital forensics, machine learning. So computer hacker?
Yeah, I self-taught myself how to, break Facebook and get data we weren't supposed to get legally. And I did that for years.
So ultimately, what caused you guys to say, "Hey, let's get into this"? Now, this says you were like enlisted. You were messing with child crimes, digital child crimes. What was that for?
Yeah, so first I worked counterterrorism, and then when I got out, I went into a special program with Homeland Security where they took former special operations individuals, either operators, intelligence personnel, and they train you in digital forensics, and you spend a year working child crime cases, and it's some of the most horrific images and videos you could imagine. And so after seeing that pure evil, I knew that there's a lot of bureaucracy in the government, and I wanted to just have the biggest impact I could. And so I started working the nonprofit side of the house. I left Homeland Security and went into this side of the work.
So, and you as well?
Yeah, so I was a Green Beret and worked for the agency for a while, and spent a career in the military, but I lost my sister to this. So 2019, November 5th, 2019, she got picked up by a guy who was, running drugs, heroin, fentanyl, stuff like that. 30 minutes later, cell phone never touched the tower again. She was missing almost 2 months. And they found her body in a river in Mississippi on Christmas Eve, 2019. And that was, it was hell to go through, as a sibling. I can't imagine as a parent, and that whole process, just everything that happened while she was missing and what I learned about her life before, and then the effects of that after on my family. It's like, man, somebody's got to fight this stuff, because we get trillions of dollars behind us to fight terror all over the world. When it comes to protecting like our own citizens or somebody like my sister, finding them the technology, the funding, the manpower, all that stuff just isn't there. And we've got a real crisis on our hands. So I decided to fight it.
So you guys formed the Sentinel Foundation, and who was funding it to begin with?
So the first 4 years, we pretty much self-funded through operations. So I went with BBC World News to Bangladesh to purchase a 15-year-old girl from traffickers. And then so we kind of built the credibility in the space. So by my first year, I partnered with another nonprofit, and then after seeing how they were doing things, I wanted to do it my own way. And so after start doing, successful operations, law enforcement, we had this partnership where they would bring us on some major cases, and we were actually helping solve it because we were using cyber-enabled operations back in 2016 timeframe. And so the government wasn't fully caught up in the trafficking space using this type of technique. And so after we started building, we started then getting donations come in slowly but surely. But it took about 4 years of doing hard work to get to the point where we actually had funders come in.
So you guys kind of just used your own money and resources in the beginning?
Yeah. I mean, we did. I would go teach, work for government agencies, and then I'd come back and I'd do operations. And so it was a way to, one, perfect my skill set so I could train the government agencies on what I was doing, and then use the testbed of human trafficking to go and find these individuals that the government couldn't find.
So what kind of because I don't think people understand, you know, because the media, for some reason, doesn't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
You don't see enough stories. And, you know, I did a little Googling and it says 800,000 children go missing every year.
Yeah.
Like 800,000. Like you go to a football game, like the Super Bowl, they had 65,000 people in that arena. That means there was 10 arenas full. That's only 650. 12 arenas that size, packed with that many children, go missing every year. Again, how's that even freaking possible? And how come no one talks about it? And how come you don't see it on the media and the news and the nonsense?
And I think it's one of these topics that it's just too dark for people. And from what I've seen, most people it's easier to ignore it. You know, like back in the day when you're scrolling through TV and you see the Sick Puppies commercial and, you know, that Arms of an Angel song comes on and you're like, change the channel. You know, I don't need this in my day, right? Well, that's how this is to most people, but, you know, 10 times worse because it's a child being affected. For some reason, the media just doesn't pick it up the way that they should here in America. And part of the problem is there's really not funding or effort from the federal government to the state governments really behind this to make a difference. So if society really knew the truth, not just about the 800,000 kids that are gone missing, I mean, we have no idea how many immigrants are in our country now. We know about 90,000 of them children can't be found. But then you add technology on top of this now and the access that predators have to all of our children because iPads and iPhones and all the apps and games that they play now, we're headed into unprecedented time for the risk that our children are in.
Hey, and by the way, Bomb Squad, listen, I want you, whether you have $1 or $1 million, you know, and you're listening and you're not one of the pedophile perverts, then give $1 or give $1 million or give whatever you think you can give, because 100% of your guys' funds go to saving children.
Correct. Yeah, we have one main donor that basically will cover our overhead. So we have a 90 to 92% that goes straight to operation. They cover our overhead, so we're able to do that for, you know, anything that donates from this will go directly to operations.
So folks, I want them to see the power of the Bomb Squad. You go to Foundations.
SentinelDonations.org.
SentinelDonations.org. It's SENTINEL donations, plural, .org. SentinelDonations.org. Folks, give $1, give $20, give $100, give $1,000, give $1 million, but give. I want them to say, holy shit, man, the Bomb Squad helped some brothers out, more than brothers, but helped some children out. Because it's surprising, you know, how much you can get done with very little.
Yeah. I mean, we have operations that are ongoing right now in foreign countries of individuals where, you know, if we're able to find them that country, we'll use capital punishment. And I can't give locations that we're working right now. But I did want to touch on one thing you said about the media, as in back in 2017, I was approached when I was doing the hacking and teaching at Black Hat to do a TV show. And they wanted me to go against people that were catfishing and have these techniques. And at this time, I had been working, I did, I think, 8 countries in 2016 working undercover. And I was like, hey, why don't you follow me along while we're hunting down these individuals in these foreign countries that are travel 6 tourism? And the guy literally said to me, he said, there's no ad revenue. And I was like, that's your level. So to address it, they try to tie it into this ad revenue. And I think with Sound of Freedom coming out, we saw a motivation behind the people that they wanted this, they want to consume it. And so I think there's just finding that right way where people consume it, where it's not super dark, but they can actually see the insights of what's going on.
Nope.
Well, dude, who cares if it's super dark, dude? Yeah. People need to open their eyes and face reality. The reality is there's children, little boys and girls getting sold and I assume sexually abused and then discarded, killed.
Yeah.
People don't realize, like, dude, where do these people go? They don't. If they popped out of sexual trafficking, you would see them all over, and people would eventually be telling their stories. And some of them, I'm sure, have made it out. But dude, what are the rest of them going through while they're alive? And then where are they going after that? They're being, I think, killed.
Well, they get rid of what they don't need anymore. You know, and the thing that most Americans don't realize is because they don't see it in their daily life, they don't see it on the news, they just can ignore that it happens, right? You're not going to sit around and think about sex trafficking every day unless you're told about it. And there's a point to that because it's a dark underbelly of society right now. And trafficking is getting out of control, especially because of the illegal immigration, you know, the more decline in morals and values in society, the hypersexualization that's happening to, you know, children online and even to adults online. I mean, we have social media steering grown men to profiles and things of young children now, you know, in a sexual manner. And, you know, our society is in a mess because of that social media presence and the access, right? But if you think about it like this, when we, you know, I'm 40, I know you're a little bit older than me, about the same age. When we were, you know, kids, people didn't have access to us. So we would ride our bikes around the neighborhood, you know, play sports, all that stuff. But you had to be a preacher, a teacher, Sunday school teacher, you know, coach. You had to be in a trusted position in society to even be near kids. And yet still, that was the most popular jobs for pedophiles to get because they could get next to kids, right? But if some strange man walked up to my door when I was a, you know, kid and said, "Hey, I'm here to see Matt," my mom would just be like, "Oh, okay, go upstairs." Next guy comes up, "Hey, I'm here to see Matt." "Oh, okay, go upstairs." Well, we leave our kids on these iPads and iPhones and these video games all day long. And strange men and people from all over the world can talk to them in these chats and groom them and start to manipulate and extort them. And we're seeing a public health crisis now because of this, not just from trafficking and exploitation and extortion, but a legitimate public health crisis of never seen before proportions from this. From the suicide to the depression, all the mental issues that are caused, and the detachment from parenting and reality that's happening right now. And the worst outcomes of that are exploitation and trafficking. And it's so out of control now. If you took every law enforcement officer in the United States and put them against human trafficking and child exploitation alone, they wouldn't be able to keep up with the case. The caseload is that out of control that cops can't even keep up with it.
So what can people do, civilians?
Be parents again.
It has to be a priority to them, right? You have to motivate the politicians. You have to tell them that this is important for you. You know, if you look at India, and I use this example all the time, they were gang raping young women, young children on a regular basis. And then overnight, they put a death sentence penalty in place. They put stricter laws in there, and they create this fear because the people were marching. There was a 1 million person march that were protesting about these young girls being killed. They changed the laws overnight, and it drastically just dropped down. And so I think that's what it's going to take is for the people to stand up. But where the system's flawed, we have no one agency that just works trafficking or child crime. You get budgets to Homeland Security, you get budgets to federal government, you get the ICACs that are state and local. And so you have money dispersed, but there's no one main agency working. It's a nonprofit, technically. It's called National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a great organization. But why do we have a nonprofit as the lead agency that's in charge of all things child crime? So the system needs to change. You know, we have to have some politician that's going to step up and say, this is a priority and this is what we're going to do.
And this won't be a priority until people step up and they say, "Hey, enough's enough."
Well, a lot of people don't know how, though.
It's true.
Like giving you guys money here, I'll bet you we get a ton of people donating something. Because in my mind, if I was listening to this, yeah, let me give them some money. But what can we do? Most people don't know what to do. How do they step up? Write your Congress.
Write your congressman. Social media post.
Because when you write congressmen, sometimes, dude, they don't even answer.
No,
They're
you're right.
fundraising or they're doing other things.
Yeah, they're politicians. So I mean, to me, and not only that, it seems like some of them might even be in on it.
I would agree with you. You know, I think
so. You might be writing to the wolf.
It happens at every level of life, man. The simplest thing that people can do is step up in their own sphere of influence, man. And because we get asked all the time, I mean, you know, on social media and stuff, "Hey, what can I do? How can I get in the fight?" From everywhere, "Hey, I got a gun, let's go." You know, like, and people, they mean well, right? But it really starts with just being a good parent or a good influence over your child.
Yeah, I dropped a bomb on that answer because, again, there's a lot of parents out there that are allowing their kids to be on these games and online chat rooms that have no idea. And you think they're talking to other 10-year-olds and other 8-year-olds, when in reality, that's where some of these pervs are. These predators are in there pretending to be 10 years old, and they're talking to your kid. Yep. And again, with an adult devious mind, you called it grooming. I don't know if that's grooming, but like basically causing them to eventually meet them somewhere.
Yep.
Right, that's the most common case that we get in the U.S. And so we work internationally to hunt down the travel sex tourism where they're going to these locations and having sex and then coming back to our neighborhoods. But when we work in the U.S., that's probably the number one case we get is young kid online, either Roblox, Minecraft, PlayStation, Xbox. And what they do is they kick them over to Discord. They kick them over to this anonymous chat because these kids don't know. They're like, okay, I'll go over there.
And they think it's little Billy, you know.
Correct.
It's not.
They befriend them. They groom them. They think they're their best friend. There's a case, a guy named Matthew Fodder. His name's Evil Mind. Largest sentence in UK history. And this guy had 4 girls try killing himself. He was this evil. He would extort them. He would blackmail them and make them do some of the worst things because he would befriend them. And then he would show them that they were male. And if he didn't, he would send it all to their family. And so there's evil out there that like this. And then, you know, people will try to wear their blinders and then until it hits home. And that's where they're like, I want to get involved. And it's too late at that point.
Yeah. You don't want your sister to be missing or your daughter to be missing. And that's the other part with this is, you know, I started another organization before I came to Sentinel to build task forces to fight this. And that model worked. And there were some things that, you know, could be better about it. You know, just a charity trying to do what government's not doing, I guess is the best way to say it. Coming over here now, it's just insane when you see the dichotomy between drugs and saving kids. $40 billion by the federal government spent a year to fight drugs, and yet drugs are everywhere. I mean, we all know somewhere to buy drugs if we wanted to, right? But 40.2 million. So 40 billion on drugs, 40.2 million is spent by our federal government to save kids. And the funding's even less than that at the state level. So, you know, it's like you're fighting a uphill losing battle with that type of funding. And it's getting so out of control. This task force that I started in the last organization, they found a 6-year-old girl that had been sending nude images and videos of herself to a grown man in Texas. When they caught the grown man in Texas, he had done that to over 800 children, just one man, because that's how much access he has to the kids. And what parents don't realize is these predators now, they're trained, they're educated, they're coordinated, and they're cold and calculated, and they will talk to hundreds of kids at a time just to get that one kid that bites, right, so to speak. There's a manual that's shared online. One of our former partner organizations tracks it. It's shared millions of times a year. I think it's like 60, 70 pages long. And it walks a pedophile, predator, through how to find your kid, how to groom them, the psychological manipulation process that they have to go through to get the kid from initial meet, the signs of what you want to look for in a kid, uninvolved parents, unactive dad, maybe some mental or health issues going on to where they're susceptible to being grooming. It walks them all the way through the process to get them to like fall in love and be an admirer. Then it talks them through how to like get them to run away. And then it talks them through how to sexually touch the child once they get the kid. I mean, this is just pure evil. And it's shared millions of times a year here in the United States. And this manual is being utilized by these predators all over on all these video games and social media platforms. And it's just gotten to a point where it's out of control because there's no one policing it. And even social media is not doing it.
It's freaking crazy. It's almost like, you know. So what can parents do to, let's say, observe? Like, in other words, like I got 3 little girls. What should I be looking out for? Like, you know, how do you know when they're heading that direction?
You have to be able to block certain apps. So any, Discord, like a young kid should not be using Discord, Snapchat, if they're trying to move over there. So you can block it before it starts.
It's funny that you say that because Snapchat's not allowed. I let them on freaking social media, though. That's probably a problem, too.
It's tough. Look, I've worked children myself, right? And you have to find that balance between the parent and not cutting them off from their normal online activities because they have to be online, and then protecting them. I think there's an app called Bark that's out there that we recommend to use that can kind of monitor everything that's going on in the backside.
Bark? Like the dog?
Yeah, like a dog bark. There's a few other ones out there. We're not associated with any of these organizations. There's also a decipher photos, where you can take your children's iPhone, iOS, whatever device, if they're on a tablet, plug it in, and it's super simple to take the iCloud backup. And they deleted it, so if they took a picture of themselves nude, you could then see that. And so you're not going to be, if they get them onto these apps, you're not going to be able to recover any data from that. But most likely they're trying to get them to send pictures, so that's an artifact that you could recover.
And you don't even know either. You think, oh, not my little angel. She's only 8. She's not even thinking about that. Well, you would assume if there wasn't somebody, that got them,
Yep.
you would assume, right? But you don't know.
Well, you don't. And the biggest problem with this is when we parent based on how we were raised, right? Like how we were raised, what we liked that our parents did, what we didn't like that they did, and then the adversities that we faced are the things that we prepare our kids for. And that's kind of just the parenting blueprint, right? You become your parents. Well, technology wasn't around when we were kids. We didn't know what we were up against. I've fell victim to this with my kids. I handed my oldest daughter, I have 3 girls. My oldest daughter is 15 now. She turned 10. I handed her a cell phone, an iPhone. I didn't even think about it because this wasn't even a reality for me yet. And I see what's happened to her and see what's happening to other kids. These kids are growing up on technology and they're spending all their time on it. The average teenager spends 10 hours a day on social media of some sort. 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're in school 8 hours. Hopefully you're sleeping 6 to 8 hours. Who even knows anymore? If you're spending 10 hours a day on social media and other applications, they're literally being raised by social media, by AI, by algorithms, by whatever marketing or person or company is after them at that time. That's what's raising them and teaching them and steering them. And as parents, it really does all come down to parents. And I know every kid doesn't have great parents, and there's a lot of foster kids and everything out there. But if you're a parent and you're at home with your kids, you love your kids, you got to start regulating it. You got to start getting more involved in their life again and having conversations. Because when we were kids, I remember when I started going through puberty, every little boy did, right? I had the JCPenney lingerie catalog, and if I got lucky, right, one of my buddy's dads had a Playboy, though we were in heaven if we could find one of those, because the access to pornography and all these things wasn't there. Well, go these days, what's stopping a 5-year-old? What's the first thing a little boy is going to Google, or his friends are going to tell him to Google, right? And you're not just seeing a boobie or a vagina, you're going straight to hardcore porn. We're seeing kids 7, 8, 9 years old addicted to hardcore porn, know more about sex and fetishes and things than you could ever imagine we would know at that age.
But there has to be some sort of software that can stop it.
There is, but kids are smart. They get around it.
I think our company here doesn't allow you to go to certain websites. We'll shut it down.
All your parental controls, iOS, Android, they have that where you can shut down, and you can Google a list of all porn websites. You put it in, and it's going to block them automatically. But like you said, as they get older, they get creative and they find bypasses, and they have different Reddit forums and different Tumblr and things like that they go to. It's the natural progression for it. I mean, it's such a balance that you have to find with your kids of giving them that freedom, but also protecting them at the same time. And it's one of the hardest things you can do. You can't fully cut them off the internet. It's impossible to do that. So how do you find that middle ground and do your research?
Well, again, you said it. Be a parent.
Yeah, be a parent.
Like as you guys are talking, I was looking for a pen. Like I want a pen. Why? Because when I get home, I'm going to change some things. Like when they go to bed at night, they go in there with their cell phones and who knows what they're doing. We shut the door and say, "Good night, honey." They could be in there freaking texting and giving out our address and, my parents are asleep. Who knows what they're doing. Why not snatch their phones at night and put them somewhere else where they don't even have access to their phones at night? And then is that what you do?
We make them put them in charge in the kitchen, and that way we can go through their messages. We can go through everything at night, so they don't know that we're fully going through. You manually go through it, and if it gets to a certain area where they cross that line, and then I can forensically dump it, or I can use Decipher messages or other things to go back and see what they're doing.
You should list on your website some of these resources so people can go, because I'll forget them, but I want to know them. I want to download whatever software I need to at least do the best you can.
Nope. But
parenting, again, a lot of people think I'm a great parent. I work and, it's no excuse. You definitely can do some shit online that will mitigate access to your child. And
you can filter too at your Wi-Fi or your router level. It's super easy to Google, filtering certain websites to block that, so that if they're on the Wi-Fi at all, they can't get on.
Yeah, but then how do I get on it?
Yeah.
You can, you can do Mac filter. It's a little bit more complicated, but you can,
There's always a workaround for dad, but
use your data. Use your data plan.
But in reality, we think they have private accounts because Melissa won't let them have a public account. Well, you can reach a kid with a private account, I'm sure, can't you?
Pretend to be somebody they know. Or just, pretend to be a friend. You can message people with private accounts, and they can see the message and choose to talk to you. Now, whether they accept it and let you in is a whole other story. But these guys, they're clever, man.
Well,
And,
not only that, I was going to say they my kids have made other accounts we don't know about. Because one time I'm sitting there and I forget someone was following me. I saw a new follower, and I looked at the picture, and it was familiar. So I looked, and it's my 10-year-old. And so I busted her and said, "What is this?" "What do you mean?" "That's an account that I made." "Well, it's public." "Well, Mom doesn't let us have a public account, and I want to get followers." I said, boom, busted her. But how many of those can they make without you even knowing?
A ton. And well, the predators teach them to make other accounts and use other applications. They find them on the application that you allow. It always starts on Roblox or what you name your game, or
They're always on
social
Roblox.
Yeah, always. Ryan Montgomery, one of the best hackers out there, works with us at Sentinel, and he has some awesome videos on his social about the stuff on Roblox that he's found. But they find them on the places that parents are like, "Oh, I'm cool with them being there." And once they get that in, once they find that kid that's susceptible or ready for that grooming process, and however they deem it, one of the first things they want to do is move the communication to secret communication. Just me, I'm your secret best friend. This is between you and me. You got to, hide this from your mom and dad. You can't tell people about us because they're not going to understand. It's textbook grooming and manipulation. And for the whole parenting issue on this, it's intentional time and conversations. I've got a 15-year-old about to be 16, 12-year-old and a 1-year-old, right? And the conversations that I've had to have with my 15 and 12-year-old, they're girls, are never conversations I would ever imagine having with my little girls. But you have to have them these days because nothing is sacred in childhood anymore, right? Like, we were pretty protected and, insulated. Most kids and growing up in America our age, we had good parents that insulated us from stuff. There were channels we couldn't watch. We weren't allowed to touch porn. We were looked after. We were protected. Well, these kids, 5, 6, 7 years old, there's really nothing out there that they haven't heard or seen anymore because you give them a phone. Like, we make kids take a test, train with us, when we're 15 years old, get their learning permit, right, to get to drive a car. Then they got to go to the state when they're 16, take a test and prove that they can drive. But when they're out there in this car, which we considered one of the most deadly and dangerous things that could happen to a kid, there's laws, there's rules, there's cops that'll pull you over if you mess up. Well, that's for a car. And the most dangerous thing we've ever given society, much less a child, an iPhone, iPad, or just access to the internet untethered, is we just hand it to them at 2 and 3 years old now. You see how many times you go to a restaurant and the whole family's on the phone, or mom and dad are talking and all the kids are on the phone? It's become so ingrained in life, we just have to figure out a way to kind of pull it back.
What about teachers? What can teachers do?
We're working right now on a training platform for teachers, for parents, where to identify grooming signs that they could see and trafficking signs, way the kids are acting or the changes in behavior.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's needed to, the name Sentinel is one standing guard. And so if we can create as many Sentinels out there watching and looking over our children and identifying this, and then so you've identified, what do you do? Right? It's tough to just go to law enforcement because they're already task saturated. They have more leads than they could ever investigate. And so that's only to a certain level. And so we have to find those ways for teachers to be able to go and talk to them, or go get them to a counselor, or raise it to the level and contact the parents to make sure that everything is okay.
Well, I mean, like, if I'm in your guys' shoes, number one, if I had unlimited funds, I could bring in all the people transitioning out of the military right into the Sentinel Foundation. Because a lot of those military guys, dude, they get out and they don't do anything because they're lost a little bit. They had structure, now there's no structure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like some of those transitioning military guys, I'd just be bringing them all in, but I'd need money to hire them and pay them and put them to work. And I would almost create my own army of people, sentinels, to where, look, if the government doesn't want to do it, you know, with the right leadership and enough money, we could do it ourselves, like citizens.
Yeah, well, that's what the foundation really is, man, is, you know, we still have the rule of law, the Constitution, and individual rights here in America, right? And even though times are getting a little crazy, all that stuff, you know, it still applies. And law enforcement is the only one with authority to arrest somebody, to take the rights away, essentially, right? So we win in America by supporting law enforcement, right? And that's through technology, that's through training, a bunch of different things that we can offer. We're working on some task forces in a few states right now, getting that built up, where law enforcement is partnered working with us. But the problem is, it all comes down to funding, right? It's expensive. Technology is expensive. The software is expensive. I mean, one of the big reasons kids aren't getting saved, and I'm not insulting, you know, anyone when I say this, but you have law enforcement who's, you know, getting paid what, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year that goes through very minimal training, investigating crimes and technology, right? That people who have just, you know, people are just born with that talent, that intellect, or have a lot of training or education, they're the ones committing these crimes, right? And getting away with it and hiding behind encryption and VPNs and private browsers and targeting our children. It's hard for a lot of law enforcement to even investigate this, right? I'm not going to name the department, but I just want people to understand how bad this is. This is one of the largest police departments in the United States. They called us about, I don't know, I think 5-6 months ago. I'm not going to say names. I don't want to dime them out. I just want people to understand. This city is one of the largest in the United States. This police department covers. They had 950 cyber tips of children being exploited in their area, up to the point that we talked on the phone. They had 4 detectives working these cases. 4. No training. None of them knew what they were doing. Openly said they didn't. They had 2 computers between 4 detectives, and I think two types of software that they could utilize to investigate the cases that they didn't know how to use. And this is one of the largest cities in the country, with probably one of the arguably largest trafficking problems. And they had 4 cops working it with no training. And that's across the board here in the U.S. because the training's not there. And that's why we want to get ahead of this. We want to start training law enforcement how to do this, get intel analysts and talented people behind them. Because let's be honest, the most talented people don't work at the government, right? Most talented people are in the private sector making a lot of money. And we've got to figure out a way to hybrid that at the foundation and figure out ways to get the talent here and get the capabilities here and just get people outside of just volunteering their time a couple hours a week just because they care. Right?
Yeah. Well, getting law enforcement trained, getting parents trained, getting teachers trained, getting church people, like the same people you said used to have access to us, trusted positions. Get them all trained and aware. That's huge. And yeah, that definitely takes some dough. But in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm listening to this, yeah, I can give money. What else can I do? Well, I can be a parent. What else can I do? I can write my lawmakers, my congressmen. You know, some of it doesn't matter. Dude, quit being a bitch. Just write them. Okay, you never know if this spawns 1 million people writing in. What else can we do? And I'll tell you what. What about volunteers? Again, there's people that can get a hold of you. So if I were talking to the bomb squad and you guys already left and they're like, you know, we'd love to help. What do we do? Number one, send money. And I don't know if you guys have a recurring option, you know, but yeah, someone like give you guys a budget, you know, it doesn't even have to be a lot. You know, if 1 million people give $20 a month, dude, that's $20 million a month. That's $250 million a year. That's saving a lot. So someone, well, $20, what's $20 a month? Well, dude, give them $20 a month. Number one, it's tax deductible. Number 2, you're saving kids. Number 3, like, unless you're a fucking part of it, because I think if you ain't helping, dude, you're a pedophile. And you know, not helping to me is like being one. I don't even understand. But I'm also thinking business owners. A lot of business owners follow me, dude. Have your company sponsor it. Number 1, sponsor the donation. Number 2, but also that put on events and speak. Like invite someone from the Sentinel Foundation to go speak and raise money at those events. Because the events that I have coming up, dude, I'm going to have one of you guys come out, play a video and raise money at the foundation, because everybody always has their charities that they do that with. So again, like change the charity that you're sponsoring. A lot of these companies, you know, They fund this and they fund that and they fund this. It's all over. There's billions of dollars donated every year. Why don't we just, for a couple years, allocate the donations to helping our children?
I don't think there's no greater mission than preserving the child's innocence.
Well, children are our future. I used to think, oh man, that's lame, but it's the truth. Yeah. And dude, our future looks pretty grim right now. We need to start. Don't get me started, but people always ask, well, what do you like to do as far as charity goes? You want to feed the homeless? Like, buddy, I was homeless once, and let me tell you something. It was a choice. Would I feed the homeless? Sure. But I would rather save a kid that doesn't have any defense and it doesn't have anybody looking after them, and they're caught. Like little tiny children have no defense. They're just and I can't imagine some of the shit you guys must have seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a child right now praying for somebody to come help them. That's the reality.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we're at the bar drinking fucking $50 worth of beer and saying, I can't afford it. I can't afford to donate. So I would donate. I would sponsor if I was a company. I would have them come out. People can reach out to you guys at foundationsentinel.org and inquire about any of this stuff, yeah?
Correct, yeah. They can hit me up on Instagram. They can go to our website through our info at foundationsentinel.org. Just get a hold of us. We're easy accessible.
At Glenn.Devitt, Devitt, yeah? Correct. And yours is at?
Matt Murphy Official. I think I had to do official because Facebook and Instagram kept banning
Plus it sounds cool,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's official, right?
Are you sure that's what it is?
Yeah, Matt_Murphy_official, I think. I'm bad at social media.
I'm gonna look it up.
Reach out to me and I can put you there.
Yeah.
To Murphy.
Yeah. I'm on there.
Let's see.
Easy to find.
At Matt Murphy. Let's see where it is. Yeah. McConaughey, where are you at?
Yeah, that's a better looking Matt.
You're soft band already.
Shit, I don't even know where you are.
Yeah, I don't either.
Matt_Murphy_official. So number one, go give him a follow. Number two, DM him any questions or resources or help or tips. You want tips, you want anything. And dude, let's I don't know if inculcate is the right word, but let's deputize the bomb squad to help. Because there's probably a lot of military guys listening that would love to help, but they don't know how. Like, they'll donate their time. That's valuable. Yeah. Obviously, you can't just have a bunch of Yahoo vigilantes running around, but there's got to be value to volunteers.
Correct, yeah. It's not a lack of talent. It's actually just lack of funds. So many people want to help and be a part of it. Mm-hmm. You're just strapped. Every nonprofit's just strapped into space for some reason.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how many people have heard of The Sound of Freedom, that movie. I went and watched it finally. Wasn't all that it was cracked up to be for me. Like, I wanted to see how they were getting them. I saw a few ways, but I didn't know it was like a movie. I thought it was more like a documentary, but it wasn't. It was kind of like a movie.
They Hollywooded it.
Yeah, but I mean,
7 operations basically throughout Central and South America. They combined them together, made one main character.
Well, there was one, because I used to think, dude, I'm not stupid. No one's going to sucker me out of my kids. Well, dude, I might have fell for the one that they showed in the opening where your kids want to be movie stars. Arya wants to be an actress. They go to auditions. Can we do this? Can we do that? You'd take them. Oh, we love your daughter. Let's go to this thing. Now, I wouldn't have let them go in a abandoned hotel with only, like, for some reason, what kind of idiot would do that? But that was a third world country. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Here, yeah, bring her down to the Motel 6 way out on, Highway 66 and leave them, come back in 6 hours. Never. But I might do it like at the Bellagio. And you never know, dude. They literally could shut that bitch down and you're gone. So there's all kinds of scams that could happen to good parents. It's unbelievable. But I watched that movie and I thought, there's got to be a million more ways than just this. And that whole organization that is behind that movie is probably getting donations to make more movies, not save more kids.
I think from what I heard, and I'm not sure that it was just the movie was made for profit. I don't think it was really
Yeah, there was
supporting
no
a
funds
charity.
that went back to that organization.
Well, it shows that the people care.
It does.
I think the people, I know Bomb Squad is going to care. I know you guys are going to get donations. I'm just trying to figure out how we can, exponentially blow that up. Because again, giving you $20 a month, big deal. Next, I'm back to work. I forgot about this podcast in fucking a week. I want to figure out something where it's a ripple effect. Like, the ripple becomes tidal waves. It's the butterfly effect.
I would just start looking at news articles and cases. Like when you're talking to your children, you have to take the gloves off and show them the raw cases of these kids killing themselves because they were sex extorted. Right? You have to show them these kids being kidnapped. The missing kids. How hard is it to go missing these days? 800,000 you said that are a year? And where are these kids at?
And how come nobody is saying anything? How come nobody's doing anything?
It's frowned upon, man. We get talked to all the time by Hollywood producers, TV show producers. I can't tell you how many TV shows we've been offered from different, angles. And everybody wants to make it something, or for the most part, not everybody, but most of them, they want to make it this thing that's innocent, right? But doesn't go too deep because people won't watch deep. People don't want to watch dark. There's this disconnect when it comes to kids. And they all say the same thing because, girls will sit there and watch serial killer stuff or what I call murder porn all day long, right? And documentary after documentary on Netflix, but nobody wants to sit there and see a kid be hurt or be taken, because it's just the most evil thing you can do. How can I say pedophilia or trafficking a child is the most evil thing you can do? Who is the one person that the prisoners beat the shit out of?
Pedos.
Right? Because even the most dangerous, dark, evil men in our society, they get locked away. The one that they unanimously agree on, they can't stand are these pedophiles, right?
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't even agree with what you're saying, meaning you may be right, but if someone asked me, no one wants to see this, I'd say, well, no one wants to see it, but everyone will stand up for it. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see it either, but I'll fucking do something about it. The question is, what do I do? And I think there's a lot of people out there that are unaware of what they can do other than just give money, but give money and then what? Educate yourself. Number one, start monitoring your child's social media. Start being a parent. Yep. Number two, start being vocal. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm trying to get everything wrapped into this episode. So when it drops, that starts a ripple. And pretty soon Sentinel Foundation's got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that's going towards saving children and educating law enforcement and making an impact.
Yep.
Because we're not a vigilante organization. We're not the messiah that's going out there. I mean, we are assisting law enforcement. I mean, imagine if you had their job. They say when you're in law enforcement that you can get a break from the child crimes. But there's guys and women that work this case for 20 to 30 years, seeing this day in, day out, where they have these little triggers. I mean, it is one of the hardest jobs to investigate. Working drugs is easy. Working child crimes, it takes somebody special to step up into that breach daily to put themselves in the fire.
They might not even let this episode out. That's the crazy part.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about anything other than what's real and what's happening. But literally, and again, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I drop this on the channels that I have and it gets suppressed or it gets flat shut off. I put a video once on YouTube and dude, they shut it off. And we weren't talking about, we were talking about this. But I mean, he had the conspiracy shit going too. So it was like, it's government, it's so-and-so, it's this president and that president and this pizza language and all this other shit. But they just shut that shit out. I don't understand why, but hey, I think it's a free country. You say what you want to say. If you're dumb enough to believe certain things, you can. But this isn't something that, you got to be dumb to believe. All you got to do is open your eyes.
It's the most bipartisan topic out there.
Period.
I think we can all agree this is very black and white.
And that's what I said. I was going to disagree with you saying that nobody wants to see it. Well, I agree with that, but I believe there's a lot of people, even prisoners, which is your point. We don't agree with this shit. Leave the children alone. Let them grow up and decide what they want to be. You want to grow up and, be sexual deviance, whatever, but not with the children. I think it should be a death penalty.
I agree.
To mess with children. I think you should first be locked in a room 1 hour with the family of that child. And then if you're still around, then you get the death penalty.
Law-abiding citizen right there.
Yeah, like, dude, it's just
legislation. Yeah, that'd be a good one. But that's the problem with America right now, man. I mean, I don't want to go down, this rabbit hole, but we're so polarized in this country, and we've only got like South Park says, a turd and a douchebag to pick from, right? But the issue really falls down to prosecution and politics in a lot of areas. In some states, they just let them out of jail. Some states, they don't prosecute them at all. Some states you can.
Well, depending on the judge you
yeah,
get.
yeah.
Like certain
Or the
districts
DA.
in North Carolina where we live, where I live, like if you get this district, you have a less chance of a penalty than this side, where I think this should be a federal level. You rape a child, there is no freedom in your future. Yeah. Without a doubt, they should be away for at least minimum life. And you believe in capital punishment, like, you took that child's innocence. You made them a hazard now to society.
There you go.
Dude, this type of thing that I get excited about.
Yeah.
And before we end this, I want to make sure people understand the best way to do the donation thing are these fundraisers. Like, I met you guys not you were on a mission. I met you at a fundraiser. That fundraiser, I gave a decent chunk of change. Hopefully that helped.
You did.
But
saved a lot of kids.
I know, but I also got, some shit in return, which I would have done it anyway. The shit in return made it a bonus. Mm-hmm. What I mean by shit in return is, we go to these charities, we go to these fundraisers, and, I'll give $100,000, but I get, I get to do this and that, and a flight here and a trip here and valuables. In addition to it's a write-off. So we need to do some fundraisers as well, because again, I think it's easier to give good considerable amounts of money when there's some sort of incentive attached. Yeah. So these fundraisers, folks, anybody out there that wants to do some sort of fundraiser and make them the beneficiary, you don't have to give money. You can donate time, resources, valuables, hotel rooms, private jet flights. And I don't know how you can't do that in your donation site. You can donate money.
They can contact me. I mean, as a CEO, right now all I do is fundraising. My last operation was in October, and so all I'm doing is going out, bringing awareness, and raising funds.
Well, we need people that are willing to fundraise, put on a fundraiser, organize. Because again, dude, this was with Jason Aldean and Brittany Aldean, and it was awesome. Yeah. There was a golf tournament. Maybe you have access to country clubs where you can, throw a golf tournament. Make Sentinel Foundation the beneficiary. Bring in all your rich ass buddies. Give away some free shit to where they'll donate. Maybe $1,000 a plate dinner, shit like that. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think all the ways. It's not just money. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's a resource. Maybe you have a group of people. Maybe you have an association of some kind that can create some sort of fundraising benefit for them.
Yeah. And we are like our top donors that are given, 7-figure pluses. I mean, we had a situation with them where they had a potential threat against their life. We had operators there within 2 hours, and these are former Tier 1 guys. They're protecting them around the clock for them. I mean, when we have a top-level donor, we become a family because we are a small organization, and so we're there for them. We're 24/7. They call us up. We'll do anything we need for them.
Well, I got some rich badasses following this show, so hopefully you get some more top-level donors. And again, if you don't want to put, $1 million into the little digital form, just reach out to them, man. But do what we can. Children are needing us. I appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah, it's an honor. We appreciate you. Yeah, we can't thank you enough. You bringing us and giving us this platform to tell the story, to bring awareness is critical for us.
Yeah, and anybody else that has a podcast, again, call them, get them on your podcast. Let's get the world to wake up. Give the money, give the time, give the resources, give a shit, I guess I should say.
Yeah, man. Well, people got to wake up. I think social media in general puts us all in a trance. I get on my phone after 15, 20, 30 minutes. I don't know what happened to me or what I've all seen, right? And I think that's the last thing that I would say. It doesn't matter what it is. fighting for kids or, you know, standing up for something or doing something in society, we've become a society of virtue signalers, right? Where it used to just be changing your profile picture. Well, now it's, well, I made a comment or I shared a story. And it's like we're all virtue signaling and doing what we can online. And there is a time for that. But we all got to start rolling up our sleeves and doing something in the world we live in. Because I think most Americans can agree the path that we're on is not a good one. And if we don't step up and pull our kids out of this danger, it's not just ruining their childhood, it ruins the adult. The trauma that children experience from this type of stuff, and it's not just getting raped and molested, it's all the other trauma that they're experiencing online. It literally changes the way that their brain forms and grows. And, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And this public health crisis is being created because children don't know what to do with what's happening to them online. And you destroy the child, you destroy the adult. And parents have to wake up to that. They only get one childhood. And if you don't protect them and keep them safe, or you don't do what you can as an adult to keep your community's children safe, what kind of fucking man are you? You know, and that's the way I look at it. And that's why we're losing this battle.
As you were talking, I was also thinking databases. There's a lot of people out there with a mailing list. Yeah. Maybe you can't afford to give much. Would you at least press send on your mailing list, get a hold of the Sentinel Foundation, put together an email that says kind of what this show talked about, and just send it to your mailing list, send it to your organization. Maybe collectively that generates a bunch of funding and help and resources. Yep. All I'm saying is, folks, come on. I know if you're following this show, then you're good. Then you're good. And if you're not good, unfollow the show, you fucking perv. Because if someone doesn't help, in my mind, like, what are you in on it or something? Like, come on.
I see that in conversations. I've been working in space for about 10 years now, and I'll go to parties and I'll start talking. They do two things. You can see them start crawling on the inside, and I'm like, that's a pedophile. Or they start asking how we catch them. So then I mess with their brain everywhere. I'm saying it's impossible. You'll never find out. And you can just see their brain going that they're going to get caught, you know, through that mindset. Yeah, so you can see them. They're everywhere. We play Spot the Pedophile. Once you work in this space, they're everywhere. And
it might be your neighbor, might be your son, might be your fucking husband. At the end of the day, might be your wife, might be your kid. Like, well, dude,
unicorn, the women's side.
yeah, it's men.
Well, it's mostly men. But you ever see those stories where the wife and the dude are like together and they grab the kid and they're pervs?
Brother, we've seen so much bad stuff. But that's what people need to understand is you can't see someone and say, oh, that's a pedophile. They're politicians, they're law enforcement, they're school teachers, they're business people, they're every level of society, every race, every culture. People that harm kids are everywhere. And if you look at the way that it's mapped out for tracking, just the sharing of child sexual abuse material, you literally can drop a pin in almost every neighborhood in this country. And at some point, someone in that neighborhood is uploading or downloading like graphic child sexual abuse material. And it's a virus. I think right now we've got over 128 million images and videos of children being sexually assaulted, raped, molested on the internet right now. 128 million. And that's being created somewhere. Those are kids. It's being shared.
There's a demand for it.
A huge demand for it. Yes. Huge demand. And once these people get hooked on that stuff, pretty soon the digital stuff is not enough. And you need the real thing, right?
Yeah.
And
we need someone kicking in the doors.
Amen.
Tracking the shit. Yeah, law enforcement should be souped up. I mean, if we spend a fraction of what we spend on counterterrorism, on protecting our children, increase their budgets statewide, federal. I mean, they are out there living it and they're underfunded like crazy. Yeah.
And we're trying to help them with mental health care too. Could you imagine?
Yeah, but I don't want people trying to donate to their local police department. Like, donate to you guys.
I'm saying at a government level, like allocation of funds should be increased at the political level.
100%.
And you guys are still kind of a small organization, even though you've been around, done a lot of missions. You know, let's blow up the Sentinel Foundation to where now the Sentinel Foundation becomes the shield, the sentinels of the world, at least the United States.
We need the people, man. It's going to take this kind of movement to change it. It's going to take people stepping up. And Sound of Freedom, it happened overseas, and I think it was good that America cared and got out and saw the movie, but it made most Americans think, oh, that's somewhere else. We're the biggest consumer of this stuff. America is the number one consumer of this in the world. It's happening right here. It's happening to our kids. It's happening to the unwanted kids and the runaways in the foster care system. 68% of kids in foster care system get sexually abused by the time they're out. You know, think about how many immigrants just came into our country. What's happening to those people? Who's protecting them from themselves or from us? You know, as America, we're in a mess. I mean, it's just time to step up and do something.
Well, folks, I've never charged you. A lot of you DM me and talk about how I've helped your business, how I freaking helped your life. Never charged you. So do me a favor. Let's show these guys what the Bomb Squad's made of. Go at least donate, but take a listen again. There's 100 ways we talked about how you can make an impact. We can blow this shit up, save a lot of kids. Appreciate you guys coming in. Keep doing the good work. Folks, as always, till next time, keep it real.